Hello and welcome to The Guardian. I hope you're having a good day. I hope your weekend is going well. And I don't know about you, but I love the weekends because on Sunday, I love going to church and I enjoy going to church. If you haven't already subscribed, I would encourage you to go ahead and do so. Subscribe here on YouTube, subscribe on Rumble, obviously subscribe on Substack. If you don't mind sharing, it really helps us as far as getting out our message. I know that a lot of these social media platforms, they do not like it whenever conservatives are on, and they absolutely suppress our algorithm to make sure that our message isn't heard. But whenever you subscribe, whenever you share, whenever you do all those things, it helps. And it helps us get out our message. One thing that I mention often, and I'm going to talk about a few things today, but one thing that I always mention, and some of you probably will get tired of seeing this, but I echo it every single podcast, and that is simply this, that your vote counts. So many people, and I'm still hearing conversations from people about, the election was stolen last time, and so there's no sense of even getting out and voting because the election was stolen. Ladies and gentlemen, let me help you on something. That's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to stay at home. They don't want you to get out and vote. And because they know that if we do stay at home, and if we don't get out and vote, then we, the people, we are not going to win. And the left will continue and continue and continue to win. And so we have to push back as we, the people, and we have to continue to scream from the rooftops and continue to shout it out that our vote does count. And so let's push, 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 push. One thing that I want to say is this, is that I want to talk about, several things today. And the one thing that I want to talk about is out of Proverbs 28 and verse number 1, where the Bible talks about the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. And one thing that we need in today's world, I sent out an email about this several days ago, but one thing that we need, one thing that we are lacking, okay, we are lacking, one thing that we need more of, and I'm so thankful for the men and women that we do have, and I'm thankful that God has put men and women, in my path and in my way, who is screaming from the rooftop and shouting, and standing, and like this book right here that I have been reading, The Spiritual Price of Political Silence. And this is someone who is using her voice, and she is being bold as a lion. And that is something that we need. Whenever you look at history, all right, take the Bible for an example. You look at the Bible. There was men who were bold as a lion. There was women who was bold as a lion. Think about Deborah. She was a judge in the Bible. She was bold as a lion. Think about Esther in the Bible who went before the king, and her uncle said, listen, God has put you here in Esther 4, verse number 17. God has put you here for such a time as this. I mean, Esther was bold as a lion. Think about Joshua in Joshua 1 where he says, be of good courage. Be of good courage. He was bold as a lion, and that was his rallying cry to the nation was we must have courage and we must stand for what we believe in. And so Deborah she was bold as a lion. She had courage. Esther was bold as a lion. Esther had courage. Joshua was bold as a lion. Joshua had courage. Think about Joseph. Joseph was bold as a lion, and Joseph stood for what he believed in. I've showed you a picture of my family. My son, I have 2 sons and 3 little girls, and that's a picture of my family, and I'm so thankful that God has blessed me and my wife with 5 beautiful children. But one thing that I'm trying to teach, to my daughters and to my sons is, the simple fact that we as Christians, we must be bold as a lion, and we the people must continue to push back and fight back. Where are the Joshuas at today? Where are the Esthers, and where are the Deborahs, and where are the Josephs? And I'm thankful that God has put them around, and I know many that are standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and they're Christians, and they're standing strong, and they're being bold, and we just need more of that. Just boldness that's willing to just call out corruption, that's willing to stand even whenever people don't like it, even whenever people don't like you, even whenever they talk bad about you and they run their mouth about you and they don't want nothing to do with you, but you still just be bold and you stand for what's right. And it doesn't matter if they all get mad at you. It doesn't matter. You continue to stand for what you believe in. Continue to have that backbone and that standing for truth and being bold as a lion. And the Bible says that the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. And so we must be bold. We must be guided by our traditional beliefs. What are the things that we believe in? Our core traditional values. Whenever it comes to marriage, we must be bold about what we believe about marriage. Whenever it comes to the life of the unborn, we must be bold in our stance and be unwavering. Several months back, I was talking to a gentleman who came to one of our lunches, and we got into it. He wanted to argue with me and tried to debate me that it was okay for a woman, to have an abortion up to 15 weeks. I was like, listen to me very carefully. Let me just make something very clear on this issue. If you kill a baby inside the womb at 10 weeks, or if you kill the baby inside the womb at 38 weeks, I don't care what week it is that you kill the baby, you have still murdered that baby. And we must be bold in our stance. I'm so thankful for groups and organizations. I'm so thankful for women and men who stand for a life of the unborn. I think about here in Mississippi. We have Pro-Life Mississippi, and Miss Janice is a superb woman, and she has always been fighting for the life of the unborn, and there are many others who are fighting for the life of the unborn. I'm proud to say that Mississippi is the one that passed the bill that went before Roe and got Roe and versus Wade overturned. It's an amazing thing, and I'm so thankful that we had men and women in Jackson, and we had a lieutenant governor, and we had a governor who was willing to stand, and they were bold. The left came after them like crazy. I mean, some of the things that I was in Jackson the day that it came out of committee, and some of the things that people said was unbelievable. But I'm so thankful for men and women who was bold. And they said, it doesn't matter what the people say. It doesn't matter what the people on the left say. It doesn't matter what anyone says whenever it comes to this issue. We're going to stand for the life of the unborn. And we must elect and we must send people to Jackson and to Washington, D.C. who's going to be bold in this issue. And we, the people, must say, we're going to continue to push back. We're going to continue to fight back, and we are not going to back down. And we are not going to let up in this issue, in this matter. We're going to be bold as a lion. We're going to be bold as a lion whenever it comes to marriage between one man, one woman. We're going to be bold in the issue of the life of the unborn. We're going to stand for what we believe in. We're going to be bold whenever it comes to the Second Amendment. Now, let me be very clear about something. Joe Biden and the left would love to do nothing more than to destroy and take away our fundamental rights that was given to us according by God, but then the Constitution it was written in the Constitution that there were some things that the government could never take away from us. I think about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. The left would love to take that away from us. Listen, they are already trying to control us on every single side. I mean, you just look at how much taxes we're paying, and we'll get to that here in a moment. But just look at the taxes that we are paying here in the United States of America. I mean, just look at some of the things that they're trying to take away. And if they could take away our right to bear arms, they could absolutely tighten down very quickly on many other rights that we have. The right whenever it comes to freedom of speech. Listen, here's what I believe. When it comes to freedom of speech, I have the right to do this podcast. I have the right to speak behind this microphone and say exactly what I believe. I have that right. And if somebody disagrees with me, they have the right to say so. Someone else has the right to get on and talk about what they believe. Like I believe marriage is between a man and a woman, but listen to me. If somebody else wants to do a podcast and they believe that marriage can be anyone, and anybody can marry anybody, that's up to them. They have that right. I have the right to talk about the Second Amendment. They have the right to disagree with me. And so that goes to that freedom of speech. And even though, I might not like their speech, they still have the freedom to express their speech. And that is where we as Republicans and we as conservatives and Christians, we must know the issues. We got to say more than just, well, I believe that, the Second Amendment, I believe that is there and it's there for our protection and that I'm a conservative. Okay. Well, why? Why the Second Amendment? And explain it. And we should be able to explain the Second Amendment. We have to understand something that whenever the Constitution was written, what was happening? What had just taken place whenever those founding fathers declared their independence? What was taking place? What was happening? And they wrote that the Second Amendment, that we have the right to bear arms. We We have the right to bear arms. Now, people always say, well, they wasn't talking about, the right to have an AR-15 or an AR-10. They wasn't talking about the right for those things. They wasn't talking about that, or they were just talking about, this or that. Listen to me very carefully. Here's what I believe they were talking about. This is just my opinion. Whenever it comes to the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, I think we just fought off and won our independence. And these men said, listen, if you want to own a whatever the best available gun is, if you want to have a daggum cannon, get a cannon. I mean, you have the right to bear arms. And I believe that as a citizen, as the United States of America, as a citizen, I have the right to own whatever gun that I want to own. And I'm thankful for that. And we need to teach our children the reason for these things. And we must stand boldly and be unapologetic. I mean, I'm not apologizing for what I believe whenever it comes to life and marriage. And I'm not apologizing for what I believe whenever it comes to the Constitution. And we must be bold in this area and stand for truth. I have a wife, I have 5 children, and I can assure you that we're going to continue to stand for what we believe in. If you have not already subscribed, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it very much. Listen to me. I love this. A picture of the lion, and I emailed this out, but I want to read this to you. The picture of the lion in Proverbs 28:1 evokes a sense of majesty, strength, and fearlessness. Lions are not known for being timid. Listen, they're not known for retreating. They are known for they will confront the challenge. They are not going to run from the challenge, and the lion is going to be brave. That's why they call the lion the king of the jungle. And you and I, we must be brave in our stance. We must not be timid in saying what we believe in. We must not be willing to retreat. Listen, I like what someone said. Someone said, well, we need a compromise. What is there left to compromise? We're over $30 trillion in debt. And it's every single day it's going higher. I mean, what is there left to compromise? There is nothing left for you and I to compromise. And we must continue to stand and be bold and be bold as a lion. Now, I do believe this. I believe that we can, let's see how I can explain this. I believe in being bold, right? I believe in standing strong, but I also believe in not being a jerk, right? I know in times past, I have said things. I have probably preached and said things. I have did podcasts and said things and probably was a jerk about it and shouldn't have been. I need to be bold as a lion, but I can also be respectful. I can argue. I can have an argument with someone about the issues of life. I can have an argument with someone about the issues of the Second Amendment. And I don't have to get all hollering and screaming. I don't have to begin to curse. I can be bold in my stance, but also treat the other person like they are an American citizen, and they have the right to believe whatever it is that they believe. And so what my job is to convince them that they're wrong and I'm right. And they're trying to convince me that they're right and I'm wrong, even though I know that I'm right and they're wrong. But at the end of the day, if I start hollering and cursing at them and calling them names, that is what the left does to us most of the time. And if I begin to act like that, then at the end of the day, they're not going to come over to my side. We are not going to be able to come together over anything. And so that is where I have to be careful, and we all must be careful. We must stand firmly. We must continue to stand. We must be bold in our stance, but at the same time, we don't have to be a jerk about it. We can treat the other person with dignity and respect. Listen, if someone disagrees with me about marriage, I'm not going to be a jerk to someone. I'm not going to tell them that I don't want to talk. I absolutely will have a conversation with anyone about any topic. I'm not going to treat them in a disrespectful way. That's not how we are to be. We must be bold, but at the same time, we don't have to be a jerk. We could be nice, and we could be we can talk sense, and we can be polite, but at the same time, we must be bold. We must be bold. And so I want you to understand something, because I'm just seeing so many, different people, all across the nation, and just reading. I do a lot of reading on social media, and I read a lot of blogs and watch podcasts and see a lot of things going on. And I'm just seeing so many people just giving up. I heard someone say the other day, they said, it's over, it's done. There's no way that we can win in 2024. Are you kidding me? That is not. What if our founding fathers would have had that attitude? I mean, seriously, what if our founding fathers would have said, it's over, we're going to give up? No, they did not. They said, we the people, we're going to stand. We're going to stand. We're not going to apologize for our stance. We're going to fight back. We're going to push back, and we're going to stand bold. And at the end of the day, it did come down to a war. At the end of the day, whenever they come to take away our freedoms, it turned out into an all-out war. And those men stood, and many of them lost everything so that we could enjoy our freedoms today. So I'm saying all this, and I'm trying to get down to just one thing, and that is we must be bold. There's some of you that will watch this podcast, and some of you will send me nasty emails. I get them every single time I do a show, and every single time I talk, I get plenty of nasty emails, and that's fine. You have that right to send to me whatever it is that you want to send me. But let me say this to some of you that are watching this, and you've got a burning desire in you to do more. You want to do more. You're like, I don't know what to do, but I want to do more. There's some of you that are watching this. You've been contemplating running for office for a long time. I want to encourage you to get ready. Get ready. I know some of you ran in 2023 and you got beat in 2023. But I want to encourage you. All because you lost in 2023, it doesn't mean you lost your voice. You might have lost the race, but you didn't lose your voice. 2027 is coming. I'm going to tell you this. I ran for office back in 2000. I think it was 2017. I ran for office against Joel Carter, and he and I was running for Senate District 49. The governor had appointed Sean Tindall, who was our state senator at the time, to the Supreme Court, or to one of the courts. And so Joel Carter ran, and I ran. The best thing that ever happened to me in this political world was that I lost that election. It was the best thing that happened to me. Number one, at that time, in 2017, I was not ready. Now, I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing when it kind of campaigning. I didn't hardly know anybody. I don't know why I even ran at that point in time, to be honest with you, except I just wanted to do something for my state. I wanted to try to make a difference, and we're still trying to make a difference. But I'll never forget, at that night whenever I lost, and I said, I spoke to my supporters that was there, was at Rebel Dip, and I thanked them for coming. And I left there, and I went over to Senator Carter's party that night, and I shook his hand, hugged his neck, and I told him this, and I meant it, and I still mean it to this day. I congratulated him, and I let him know that I was going to be praying for him every single day. And from that point, I started praying for him actually before he won. Leading up to that election, I started praying God's will and that God would bless him and that God would use him and that he would stand, if he won, that he would continue to stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And he has stood, for pro-life, and he has stood for religious liberty. And I appreciate, him, for a lot of the stances that he has taken. But I told him that night, I said to Senator Carter, I'm going to be praying for you every single day. And from that day to this day, I haven't missed one day praying for that man, praying that God will continue to use him in a strong and a mighty way. And I told him, I don't know if he might not remember, but I told Carter, I said, Senator, just be bold. Be bold. We must be bold. You and I are not going to agree on every bill, but I'm not going to be on Facebook bashing. I've never done that. I'm not going to do that. That's not how I operate whenever it comes to friends, because he is a friend. He and I have become friends. But let me say this. The best thing that ever happened to me was I lost that race. I lost. Was I sad? Yes. I left that night. I remember driving down the beach, and I went and sat out on the beach and just looking out over the water. And I said, God, I don't know what I accepted the fact that I lost. I said, God, I don't understand why I lost. I mean, we worked hard. I mean, we knocked doors. We did everything that we could. And I said, but God, I know that you got a plan. I know that you got a plan. And it was like he whispered into my ear, Dan, it's going to be okay. Trust the plan. Just keep working. Just keep working. And that's what we've done. 2017 to this day, we have just kept working. We have continued to push our ideas, our thoughts, our conservative message. We have continued to work to try to get good conservatives elected. And we're going to continue to do so. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep pushing and keep fighting for what we believe in. We're just going to be bold. Are we going to make mistakes? Yeah. Have I made mistakes? Yeah. Man, I have been on social media, and I have said some things, and I just would to God that I could take them back or delete, but they're already out there. Nothing I could do about that. Not the fact that I wasn't being bold, but it was how I was being bold. It just wasn't very Christian. Because I have to remember, I'm a Christian before I'm anything. I'm a Christian first. And some of you watching this, you might have lost. And you might think, well, it's done. It's over. I can never do anything else again. Listen to me. Get back up. Get back up. Don't just throw in the towel and quit. It's not over. It's not over. Listen, we still must fight for what we believe in as Christians, as Republicans, and as conservatives. We must be bold. We must stand for truth. We must speak truth to power. Sometimes it's not always fun. Sometimes it can be difficult, but we must continue to stand. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not already subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. Of course, if you're watching on Substack, share Substack. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, please share. Please subscribe. It helps us whenever it comes to getting out our conservative message. And it's a good thing whenever conservatives work together. And once again, thank you guys for watching The Guardian. I appreciate it very much. And God bless you. And God bless the great United States of America.